Hello everyone, my name's Casper, and today we're working in Gorilla again, and this time we're going to be looking at how we could possibly screen out participants based on some information they've provided us previously in our Gorilla study. So this could be something like age, for example. We might not want participants under the age of 18 to take part in our study, so we could use screening as a way of removing them from the study before they submit any data or experience anything that they shouldn't experience. So to do this, I'm going to be working in our Between Groups vignette project that I built in a previous video, and I'm going to jump into my demographics questionnaire. So if I jump in and to the first page, what we can see is I've got 4 questions. We've got age, gender, and biological sex, and our unique SONA ID. The two that we're going to focus on is going to be age and biological sex, but I do just want to talk briefly about the gender question. For this type of screening system, you can't really use these open text responses. The reason being is it's very difficult for us to validate the response that they've given. So, for example, if we ask them to describe how their day was, anyone could write anything, and it would be very difficult for us to actually be able to sort of say if X equals Y, screen them out or whatever. Okay. So the types of questions that we can use in this kind of method are going to be ones that provide a discrete response. So for example, what is your age in years? So if someone enters in 19, we're able to say check against this value. If it's greater than or less than this value, send them this way or send them that way. And the same for multiple choice, Likert responses, total scores, all of that. We can use the same sort of system for that process. So again, biological sex is possible. And I'm going to show you how to do both in this video today. Okay, so what we're going to do is click on our number question here, which is going to be age. We're going to click on show additional settings, and then we're going to click on save to store, click add, and we're going to save the value that the participant enters in our age question. And we're going to set that to a store called age, or if I can spell age. And then we're going to click on our biological sex, and we're going to scroll down, click on show additional settings. We're going to click on save to store, click add, and this time instead of value we're going to click on response. So essentially it's going to store whatever the participant selects from these options here. So female, male, intersex, prefer not to say, and pay particular attention to the way that this has been capitalized, because that's important later on. We're going to pop in and create a new store called sex and click bind. And there we have it. So I'm just going to click commit and say added in age and sex stores. And we're going to jump into our experiment now. So if I jump back to the project, jump into the experiment, and here we have it, our basic experiment. I'm in edit already because I've already tried to make this video once and I made a mistake, so I've come back to re-record it. So what you'll see is that normally you would have to click into edit, and then you would see that this node here, because we've changed it, we now have to update that node. And you can tell that it needs to be updated because it's got this little yellow circle sort of icon in the top right with the 2 vertical facing chevrons. So to update the nodes, we just click on update node button up here. Click on update all nodes to latest version, give it a second, fabulous, we're all done. So between demographics and randomizer, what we want to do now is add in a branch node, and this is another control node in the experiment. So if we click the blue plus there, click on branch just there, what we'll see is we'll get this other lovely orange box, which is called branch. And in here, we've got a configuration box where we can specify our branches. So our first branch, I'm going to call continue. And then my second branch, I'm going to call reject. So in continue, where we want the participant to come from demographics and come to the randomizer, we're going to say, want you to check the age store that we set up in our questionnaire. And if their value is greater than or equal to 18, so 19, 20, etc., then they're going to go down the continue branch. So they're going to come down this branch here. However, we want to reject participants whose age is less than 18, and I'm going to make this the default branch. The reason why I'm going to do that is on the odd occasion where Gorilla, for whatever reason, is unable to validate where the participant is 18 years or older, it's going to reject them. And this is just to be safe and make sure that you're not collecting data from anyone that you shouldn't be. Then we're going to click on the Add Node button, and we're going to add in a reject node under Controls. This will give you a little black box, very, very similar to the Finish node down here. And we're just going to click and drag this branch to reject. So here what will happen is the participant will come in at start, do our participant information sheet and consent form, complete the demographics, and then it will check to see whether they have entered the value of 18 or above in the age box. Then if they are 18 or above, they will continue on to the randomizer, otherwise they'll be rejected. But we also want to make sure for this study, for whatever reason, that we've had ethically approved that we're only recruiting participants who are female. So to do this, what we would do is click on between branch and randomizer, and we're going to add in a second branch. Just going to move that up a little bit to make it a bit easier to see. And again, under the configuration section, we're going to call this one continue and this one reject. And if we remember, in our sex question, we had 4 options. We had female, male, intersex, and prefer not to say. So here we're going to use equal to. We're only interested in females. So we're going to say sex is equal to female. And I've typed the response, typed this value in as exactly the same as the response in the questionnaire, so that it's not going to have any issues sort of validating that. And then in the reject, I'm going to select sex, and this time I'm going to say is not equal to female. So anyone who's selected male, intersex, or prefer not to say is going to be rejected. Alternatively, if we don't want one person, like one group of people, let's say male, we would change this to equal to male, and we would do this one as not equal to male. So anyone who isn't male will continue in the study, and everyone else and anyone that is male will be rejected. But I'm just going to change that back to the way that we originally stated. So reject sex is not equal to female. Fabulous. Okay. Then what we're going to do is add in another reject node, because for some reason Gorilla doesn't like it when you have more than one branch connected to a reject node, and we're pretty much good to go. Now the thing to bear in mind here is that in our reject nodes we can specify onward emails. So if we want to direct somebody to a website that you've set up that says thank you very much for participating, but unfortunately you don't meet our criteria, and then that's it, then that's the best way to do that. We can also specify whether we include people or exclude people that have been rejected. I would suggest to exclude them. And we also can provide them specific statuses, whether they're rejected, etc. And that's all you really need. So this is basically the very sort of basic approach on how you can use this. Once you've done all of that, you just hit commit and say added in screening branches using age and sex, and then click commit. What I would like to do then is just click preview, and this will just to test what we've done. I'm just going to skip the remaining pages of the participant information sheet and consent form, so I can now say, right, I'm going to enter in male and I'm going to select female. So if the age screener is working, I should be rejected because I'm under the age of 18. So let's click on 2255. There we go. So I've been rejected on that one. Let's try again. This time I'm going to say I am 18 and I'm female. So this time I should go all the way through to our study. 2266. These are my real Sonar IDs, by the way. task instructions. Fabulous. So we've got to the rest of that task. And now we're just going to check one last option, which is going to be I'm old enough, but I'm not the right gender. Whoops, I clicked the wrong button. Okay, so I'm 19 and I'm intersex. There's my Sonar ID. And there we go, I've been rejected again. So we now can be certain that our branches are working properly. And that's how you can screen out participants based on information that you've collected in your questionnaires or your tasks using the Gorilla Store system. Thank you very much. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments and I will see you in the next video.